We admitted we were powerless, that our lives had become unmanageable. This is Beth Wee in the Koinonia Kitchen, and we're going to take a look at step 1 today. It's just an overview, but we want to talk about it's how you're alike, not how you're different. How people are different is noted by comparing themselves with others. How they are alike is noted by identifying with others. When we're talking about compulsive nature, it's a story that is shared. You're going to get more help from knowing people that share that story than from comparing with what you'd like to be instead. Do you get what I'm saying? 12-step takes all kinds of people. I think one of the terms they say it's from Park Avenue to Park Bench, from Yale to jail. And yet all these people come together with one common problem, and they find solution. They're powerless over that one common problem, and their lives have become unmanageable. The reality is, being defeated is not something we want to look at. When we actually admit our own personal powerlessness, we're talking about being completely defeated. Maybe you tried to stop whatever your compulsive behavior is, or stop using the substance that you can't get away from. You always lose eventually. There's no lasting success. You try abstinence, but you always give in, and you hit another bottom. You come to a place where you cannot limbo any lower. Or can you? Just pick up the addictive substance or behavior, and you'll watch it happen. They talk a lot about hitting a bottom. What is a bottom? So I'm going to take you to the swimming pool. What happens if you touch bottom? What happens if you don't? When it comes from recovery to addiction, or from an addiction, or from a compulsive behavior, hitting bottom is positive because it helps you spring up and out of the swimming pool so you can breathe again. It's the same when you're hitting a bottom in life. It takes concession, conceding to your innermost self. Part of the deal about conceding is that you finally admit it, even though you don't want it to be true, and you give in to the reality that you have to live with that admission. If you look up the word concede in the dictionary, it means to admit something is true and valid after first denying or resisting it. Are you still resisting? Are you still denying? Do you think you can overcome on your own unaided strength? If that lingering notion is lurking around somewhere in the depths of your mind, you have not conceded. You're dealing with the denial. Don't even notice I am lying. The sad thing is, you're lying to yourself. If you are powerless over an addiction or a compulsive behavior, you're lying to yourself. And therefore, you'll have to lie to the other people in your life, usually the ones you care about most. So when we talk about giving in and giving up, let's think about finding strength enough to do this as an ongoing new way of living. If you drew a picture of a tree, and under the tree you drew this long, long root that goes deep to find the water, that's the taproot. That's the root that allows the tree to grow. When you look at the literature of 12-step offered by Alcoholics Anonymous in a book called Alcoholics Anonymous, or in their secondary book, The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, it talks about this taproot. What is the taproot? The realization that you can't do this alone is going to be what your new life is going to grow from. It's a threefold disease. when you look at anything addictive. It's physical because you're either doing it or taking it. It's mental because you're thinking about it all the time. When can you do it again? When can you take it again? When will I get it next? When will I do it next? It's a mentally obsessive way of thinking. And finally, it's spiritual. As you partake, your spiritual life, your ethical life starts to go down the tubes. You do things this year that you wouldn't have thought of doing 5 years ago. It's called demoralization. It's a hard thing to see, but it brings us to that gift of desperation. I love that Abraham Lincoln quote. I've been driven to my knees many times by the overwhelming realization that I had nowhere else to go. We admitted we were powerless, that our lives had become unmanageable. These are not two separate thoughts. There's a dash in between those. The man who wrote this, Bill Wilson, was a learned man, and he was a great writer. What comes after a dash better describes what's before the dash. If Bill had wanted us to think these as two separate thoughts, like maybe you're powerless but you're not dealing with unmanageability, or maybe you're dealing with unmanageability but you're not powerless, he would have put a semicolon in, but he didn't. He put a dash. And what that tells us is that an unmanageable life is the consequence of powerlessness. You might think you're functional in your addiction or your compulsive behavior. Then how come you can't manage to stop doing it or stop taking it? You know, when they talk about this, step one, they use words like under the lash and we were driven. These are words that you think of horses or beasts of burden. They're being whipped. They're being driven. They're going faster than they want to go, but they're forced to run that speed. And that's what we become when we're powerless. We become a beast of a burden that's greater than we can bear. And it makes the rest of our lives unmanageable. Who's the raging master in your life? Maybe it's drugs and alcohol. Maybe it's gambling. Maybe it's pornography. Maybe it's two-legged drugs. Maybe you're addicted to other people. Maybe it's the good thought of other people. Maybe you worship Gowap, the god of what other people think. Whatever it is, in step one, we're asking you to admit it. This is the firm bedrock on which you can build a new life. It's not forever unless you ignore it. Admit it today and get started. It's time to take addiction out of the shadows and shine the encouraging light of recovery on everyone affected. Good Seed Podcast is powered by BethWE.com, a nonprofit ministry based in Vero Beach, Florida. We'll start the uncomfortable conversations that turn despair into hope and complacency into action. Connect, communicate, and thrive with us. Check us out online at BethWE.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk again soon.